There is no meme. This is just a threat.
I didn't think this was possible, but you're drinking too much water. Well, I forgot to refill my cup, so that will stop. There's a reason Kaga asked if you wanted to see the cup. Yeah! Yeah. But, it's so horrible. How could people do such a thing? Oh, wait, shit, gotta... What are you crying for, Sheila? This isn't your pain to bear. Is that when they sold you off to the slavers, Zaid? Yes, when I was but 12. Instead of executing me, I was sent to serve as one of the king's gladiator slaves. After 3 years of training, I entered my first match at 15. My opponent was 2 times my size, but hardly skilled in the ways of battle. Surprised by how quickly he fell. When he hit the ground, I remember feeling relieved that it was finally over. But then, the agitated spectators began to chant. "Kill him! Kill him!" they screamed, one after the other. I had to give them what they wanted, or else I'd be next. So I pointed my blade at the horrified man's chest. And I'll never forget how bad it felt the first time I killed someone. I escaped from the training grounds that very same night. Surprised you managed to escape. I heard that slave masters like to put bounties on the heads of fugitives, and that they'll resort to just about anything to make sure the slaves end up regretting defiance. This was no different. Hordes of bounty hunters chased me as I desperately tried to make it over the southern mountains. Finally, I came across Yappa village. Bloodied and beaten, I collapsed right then and there. It was Sheila's mother who found me and nursed me back to health. Meanwhile, Sheila's father and grandfather, the village chieftain, kept me safe from the bounty hunters. Already, I owed them a debt so great I could never hope to fully repay it. Sheila was only 5 at the time. Her parents died in a mountain fire the next year. I still remember kneeling before their graves and vowing to keep my promise. Promise? What promise? I've heard anything about a promise. It was the last promise. Come on, Sheila. What? I promised to protect the village, of course. Why else do you think I always took command of the village warriors when it was time to fight? You're hiding something, aren't you, Zaid? It's painfully obvious. You always flit your eyes around when you're telling a lie. Hey, cut it out, you two. No, I don't. Besides, what reason could I possibly have to lie? There you go again. Your eyes are shifting all over the place. Just tell me the truth, Zaid. Hey, I said knock it off. I don't want this conversation to get any longer than it already is. Whatever happened to your mother and Princess Amelia? Did they make it to Melida in the end? I already told you. I saw the body of the princess's mother with my own eyes, but that's all. If my mother managed to get the princess on a ship from Spire, it probably would have taken them straight to Frist Harbor. Unfortunately, no one ever told me where my mother's family lived. If the princess survived, it would fall upon me to serve her. That's the only duty my father ever left to me. I often wonder about my mother as well. I'd like to find them, but what hope do I have without a single clue? I don't know what to do. Zaid, how old do you think the princess would be if she was still alive? We escaped around 13 years ago, so she'd probably be around 14. Was she cute? Huh? Yeah, she was a cute child. Sheila, what are you asking him that for? The princess was only 6 months old when Zaid knew her. Don't tell me you're jealous of a baby. Of course not. Ugh. How stupid can one man be? She really was out here getting jealous of a baby. Rubina, there you are. Have we... Hey, you! It's been a while. Oh, come on, not this again. Although we did have a pretty big group by the time we met you, so I suppose I can't hold it against you. I'm Cesar, Lord Zadrian's lieutenant. I highly suggest you remember my... I know full well who you are, Cesar. A petty thief. Just thought I'd tease you a little. Anyway, I'm sorry, but I'm terribly busy at the moment. I just called back out to the front lines. Busy, yet you still got time to tease a silver fox like me? Young women these days. Farewell. Let's fucking bitched him away. Wait, I won't keep you long, I promise. Which front line would you be headed to, incidentally? Our Grenakile squad has been sent to the Sphere and Border to assist with the Cilician war effort. The triple threat of Spire, Rivel, and Lestia has now set their sights on the Cilician throne, and their army is filled with potent mages. If Haral, the Cilician capital, falls, Videssa and Venetia will be next. Not even Car Edward and Norden will be safe at this rate. There were 6 separate squads of the Knights of Kile, if I remember correctly. How many others have been sent there? 1 has been deployed to watch over Galatia, another to guard the western front, and 2 to assist Surma Abbey. Meanwhile, the 5th has been sent out back up to Redessa, leaving only us for Solus. And Captain Aslan commands your squad, yes? She's already teamed up with us, in case you haven't heard. With that in mind, it doesn't make much sense for her soldiers to be off somewhere else, now does it? There are circumstances you do not understand at play here, Caesar. Captain Aslan feels responsible for Princess Athal's safety. She was especially hard on herself for not being able to see through the false Zecharias' ruse. To her, nothing is more important right now than rescuing the princess. And yet, she is also sensitive to her knight's own wishes. Her knight's own wish? Oh, right. One of you hails from Solus. Some warrior from the shifts, was it? That's right. Maya! Hey, Maya! Right. That's right. Captain Aslan specifically assigned us to the Solus out of concern for Maya. Perhaps you may recall Maya's taciturn character. She was terribly worried for her father the entire time, yet never spoke a word to us. If only you'd seen her face when she said she'd be deployed to help Solus. I've never seen such a quiet girl burst into such a fountain of joyous tears. Her emotions touched me so much that I couldn't resist taking the sweet girl in my arms and embracing her with all my heart. Naturally. But the Shift clan has caused its share of problems in the past. Which puts her... Right, I remember. You guys attacked me with invisible assassins. Fuck those people. As the daughter of a merchant noble, I was raised in a safe, nurturing environment, so I'll never understand how Maya feels. But she certainly seems overjoyed to be able to return to her homeland as a Knight Achille. She wants nothing more than to save her father, and so Yeri stepped forward to lead... Oh, Yeri's the third one! The third flyer! All of a sudden, she's putting the kiddos here to make her more of a nag. Alright. Thanks for the intel, but you still haven't answered my question. Oh, then what is it? Why let me talk if you don't even care to hear me? Peace, Lady Knight. Aslan told me you know a lot about circlet masons. One might even call you... obsessed? Excuse me? Does your discourtesy know no bounds? As I've told you, I'm busy, and I think I'll take my leave now. How was I supposed to know her temper would be that short? That was a nice seeing her. Well, if it isn't Lily again. What are you doing here? Finishing up my last bit of studying before I depart. On the contrary, what business could you possibly have with... Do you think Caesar doesn't... read? Just thought I might find a wise mind or two if I hung around here a bit. Nope. Don't see any. Ah, well, I suppose I'll have to settle for you. Mind if I partake of your wisdom, Madam Brainiac? Just tell me what you want to know, and I'll let you know if I can help. Right now, I've got shards and maidens on the mind. There are 9 shards in total, yes? Mind give me a list, who's got what? I know that Athol, Nina, and the Prince of Alestia were put in charge of the 3 shards of the Orb of Ruination. What about the other 6? I'm sorry, Caesar, but that information is top secret. Not even you can be trusted with it. Worry not, my loyal minister. I've already received permission from Abbot Melvin. Remember, I'm the premier tactician of the Meledian Liberation Army now, so you consider this an order from Zadrian himself. Fine, I'll tell you what you want to know. First, let's start with the Orb of Immortality. Lana Near carries the Sea Shard, Princess of Lycia of Revel carries the Sun Shard, and Lady Nephi of Norden carries the Wind Shard. The Orb of Immortality once granted Margul immortality, so if its seal is ever broken, it'll awaken again. Therefore, Lana Near and Lady Nephia can never leave the Sanctum, but the Sun Maiden went missing several years ago. Last but not least, we have the 3 shards of the Orbs of Enthrallment. The lot is... Are we sure this game isn't a visual novel? Kaga loves his text, alright? Strap in, this is what we're here for. Alana's younger sister Vanus carries the Vermeil Shard, Lady Salna of Solus carries the Blade Shard, and Queen Civil of Spire carries the Flame Shard. That mad woman still counted as a maiden, even after all she's done? Can't her title be, revoked or something? The details of her situation elude me. Alright, good night, Lilia. I'm trying to get to where I can save the game. I've wanted to end stream for a bit yet, but the dialogue keeps coming. 1. When a maiden perishes. When the maiden becomes an adult, turns 18, or has intercourse with the opposite sex. Or 3. If the maiden returns the circlet of her own volition. As long as Vesta is willing to hear out her plea, she'll be free to abandon her post. The Orb of Enthrallment was once used by the ancient Udagal to enslave and transform savage tribes into horrifying tools of war. Margul later used it to rule over humans and transform them into monsters as well. That's how they all became immortal. If the seals on all 3 orbs break, Not just Margul, but his entire empire of demons will all spring back to life in the blink of an eye. Thousands, no, tens of thousands of demons will crawl from the ground all at once. Just thinking about it makes me shiver. How come there are demons out and about already if the 3 seals haven't been broken? When the Orb of Enthrallment was destroyed by the Sacred Heroes, it shattered into 3 large shards and myriad smaller fragments. The smaller fragments were then carried on the wind and scattered all over the land. This is what allowed a small number of demons to survive. They call these fragments Goethite shards, and lust for them like nothing else. But the resurrection rituals require them to sacrifice young women. That's why Margulites always kidnap girls. They'll devour any meat they can get their hands on, but they highly prefer human meat. Or meaty, as they refer to it. Ugh. Notice you made sure to protect the rest of the Circlet Maidens? You've at least rounded them up in the Sanctum, right? Unfortunately, only 3 Circlet Maidens are currently present in the tower. Nephia, Salnia, and Nina. As for the others, Aethal is in Redessa, Mumain and Sunmain were at Surma Abbey. Yeesh, you think having the fate of the world on their shoulders would make them a bit more reticent about running off on their own? They're people just like you and I, Caesar, each with their own problems and loved ones to worry about. And if you say so. Oh, I have one more question, by the way. You said one of the maidens was a noble from Solus, yes? As far as I know, there aren't any Udagal descendants in Solus. At least that's what Silton told me. Perhaps you just didn't know about her. The truth is that the previous Car of Solus, Car Home, had a younger sister who became a Circlet Maiden. She lived in the Temenos until she fell in love with a minister. When she became pregnant, it broke the power of her seal. Maidens are not allowed to fall in love, so the two were promptly cast out from the Temenos. They lived out the rest of their lives as common folk in Connacht, a Cordian town. Lady Salna, the current Blade Maiden, is their daughter. As you might imagine, the matter shamed the Car, so he had all mention of his sister removed from the royal records. That would make the Blade Maiden Silton's cousin, and it means the Cilician royal family actually did inherit Udagal blood. Solus has always felt inferior due to their lack of Udagal lineage, so the previous Cars frequently sought out brides from that bloodline. Even Silton's mother was a noble from the mainland who carried Right. God damn, this is a lot. So much text. So much dialogue. Ah! How do I do this without boring people to tears? I'm interested in lore. Doesn't mean everyone else is. Alright, I'll keep it on the wraps for now. I'll wait for the perfect timing to knock him down a few pegs anyway. Oh, wild. Oh, that's right! A court hasn't done anything yet! A court! Wait up, a court! Huh? What's the matter, Caesar? Got a little question for you. Ever heard of a Spherian princess named Amelia? Say a funny? Okay, a funny. Funny joke here. Anyways, of course I have. She's the daughter of Katrina, the king of Sphire's consort, but she and her daughter both went missing. Why are you looking for her? Well, it's a bit of a long story. Plot. And that's the gist of it. Seems like only members of the Spherian royal family have the power to break the spell that's been cast on Nina and Aethal. I see. And if Queen Sybil is the one behind reviving the Nether Drakes, it must mean my father failed in his negotiations. Hey, keep your chin up. It's not your old man's fault, and I'm sure he's alive. Wherever he is. But... Huh? Oh, this isn't just about your father, is it? Alright, let me have it. What else has been troubling you? I'm worried to death about my father, of course. But there's something I noticed after finally making it to the Sanctum. I think I've met someone named Alicia before. Just didn't know she was a maiden at the time. What, really? Zaid's been worried sick about her. He'll probably want to kick himself for not asking about this sooner. I feel terrible about it, too. I've had a chance to meet her myself. How'd you happen to run into her? February of last year. I returned from the academy to find a girl sitting on my bed, all by herself. When I asked my father about her, he said he rescued her from a suspicious man he spotted nearby the palace. He didn't offer any more details to me, and his face looked very tense, as if he was concerned about something. When I took some breakfast to her the next morning, she looked to be in good spirits, and spoke to me with a smile on her face. She said her name was Alicia, and that she had been serving as a sestra in a small village somewhere in Venetia. Afterwards, she claimed a strange man abducted her and took her to Spire. There does exist a secret society in Spire that abducts young women and forces them to... I don't want to think about that. Suggest you return to the place you truly belong? After that, my father escorted Alicia somewhere. He said he was going to take her to the port, but that's the last thing I ever heard about her. In other words, your father rescued Alicia. According to Halden, Alicia was abducted by a powerful mage. Wrestling her out of his hands couldn't have been an easy job, even for someone as skilled as your father. My father was once the most highly esteemed sage in Spire, but he never told me what actually transpired regarding her rescue. Alright, so she's safe and sound. Woo! Yay! We may be apart now, but I'm sure we'll end up back with your old man after all's said and done. In fact, I guarantee it. Thanks, Caesar. And no need to thank me. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Oh, right, about Princess Amelia, yes? Let's see what I can remember. Consort of the late King of Spire, which makes her a half-sister to Queen Sybil. She went missing when I was 3, and I don't know anything about the incident. Woo! Older brother. Queen Asdol had 2 children of her own, Prince Simon and Princess Sybil. My father taught all 3 of them. So much! Ah! Okay, your father was stopping all the assassinations. Gina, daughter said, yes, that's what my father told me. Queen Asdol orchestrated the incident, no proof, and when one of guards confessed to the crime. Read, streamer boy, read! That's all my father told me about that night, and that's the last I ever heard of Amelia. Sorry I couldn't be of more help. No, that was all very helpful. So the disappearance happened 13 years ago. That would make the current queen 17. Remember, Circlet Maidens keep their titles until they turn 18. Queen Sybil was taken to Temenos when she was 10, then temporarily returned home with 13. Conspiracy as well. Schemed, right. Bedridden. So they made up a story about an illicit romance between the queen and a famous troubadour and threw her and her children straight into the jail. Adultery is treated as a heinous crime in just about every land, as I'm sure you're aware. Bought by the Lenstian faction, the Chancellor left them in that filthy jail for half a year and hoped they'd die of natural causes. At the time, Sybil and Simon were only 12 and 13. Both siblings were famous for their kind hearts, and how well they got along with Matthias and each other. The same was true for Queen Isolde. After Matthias lost his mother and sister, she stepped in to love him as if he was her own child. She protected him for a decade, yet the extended families on both sides never ceased their scheming. The queen and their children had nothing to do with it. They're all victims. The one who tried to keep them in jail until they starved was Chancellor Goose. He knew he wouldn't be able to execute them without permission from the king, regardless of what crimes they had supposedly committed. That's quite the horror story. But your father was still in the palace at the time, right? Why didn't he save the 3 of them? Oh, but he wasn't, Caesar. After my father finished educating the queen, he left his station. By the time the Red Night happened, my father had already started working at the academy. He only found out about this after the fact. After suffering in critical condition for half a year, the king passed, and Matthias took the throne, just as the evil chancellor hoped he would. The moment he became king, Matthias ordered my father to return and serve as his aide. The new king hated the scheming Sciophants who made up his ministry, and wanted my father to become the new chancellor. But my father refused, insisting the time was not yet right. Afterwards, he suggested that King Matthias reinvestigate the queen's supposed adultery. Until Matthias became king, Guise and the rest of the ministry had forbidden anyone from going near the jail beneath the palace. Matthias, of course, had his doubts. The Isolde he knew had always been kind. He played with Sybil and Simon since they were small, and loved them as true siblings. How much more do I have of this? Re-expara? How much more? This has only further fueled his anger when he learned how Guise was the minister, and the ministry had utilized his father's illness to further their political aims. When he ordered his family members to be released, Guise vanished, leaving the men who had served him to be confused and fearful. Eventually, they resigned themselves to their fate and told their new king all they knew. At long last, the king learned where his family was being kept, and what Guise had truly hoped to achieve with all of his machinations. Once he recovered from his initial shock from the news, King Matthias and my father went down to the jail to rescue the 3, but they were too late. Yes, When the guard led them to the right-hand cell where the three had been supposedly kept, they only found 2 decaying corpses. From little scraps that remained of their clothing, they were identified as Prince Simon and Queen Isolde. Civil, however, was nowhere to be found. Instead, they only found the horribly disfigured body of Chancellor Guise. Someone had stripped him, bound him, and tortured him a great deal before finally taking his life. The Red Night came 2 months later. Over the course of a single evening, someone brutally butchered King Matthias and most of the ministry. Once again, my father had been elsewhere at the time of the incident, but the entire kingdom was in an uproar. Afterwards, my father gathered what few nobles remained in the palace and discussed what should be done going forward. The entire royal family had been destroyed, including my fucking throat from talking for so goddamn long without getting any water. Jesus Christ. They split up and began a search for her, but turns out there was no need. Several days later, Princess Sybil turned up right in the middle of the palace and announced she would be assuming the throne. The lords present were stunned by the power that now emanated from the young woman. No longer did they see any trace of the soft, innocent... Right, so she was in a jail cell with her brother and mother, getting tortured and hoped that she would die. That caused her Joker arc to happen, and now she's one of the main villains of the game. Got it. Alright. Did it. We've learned. Still a student at the academy then, so I didn't know much about what transpired. My father only told me the whole story after Sybil assumed the throne and started Spire on its downward spiral. The cycle of too much talking, too much water, too much bathroom breaks. Yeah. Oh no, don't you plan on becoming a writer? Or even worse, a historian? Don't you want to be able to feed yourself? Ah! Even in fantasy, English majors don't get anything. Alright, I'm getting a thing of water. Jesus Christ. Entertain them while I'm gone. Help if I actually grab my cup. Bring back Snorlax. He's still there. He's still there. He hasn't gone anywhere. Pardon the intrusion, Abbot. The Lana has returned to her chamber and bid me to inform you. Ah, so she's finished her morning prayer. Excellent. Please tell her we'll be right there. Of course, Abbot. Well then, my lord, shall we? I'm right behind you. So much walking. So many backgrounds. This is Lana Near's personal study. And now that I've fulfilled my task, I think I'll give you two a little privacy. Thank you for everything, Abbot. Good day, Lana. I am Zadrian of Melida. Ah, shit, we've gone to the Near Automata black and white dimension. Lord Zadrian, you are well met. Please, come closer. As you wish. I apologize for the delay. How have you found the Lana Sanctum? Unfortunately, I haven't had much time to look around. But we plan to stay the night here, so I hope to tour the grounds later. If possible, I'd also like to see my niece, Sestra Nina. Ah, so you plan to leave on the morrow. Something sinister is afoot in Melida. I must return as soon as possible and put a stop to whatever the Margolites are planning. The reason I sought your counsel now, Lana, was to hear your account of what has transpired. Do you know anything about the whereabouts of my brother Zecharias? Lord Zadrian, it pains me that we must speak about this before anything else. Yet we must accept the truth for what it is. Your brother, Commander Zecharias, no longer walks among the living. My sister Venice will kindly explain the details to you. Won't you, Venice? Yes, sister. It's been a while, Lord Zaid. I believe the last time we met was in Thrall. Lady Vanice. This will no doubt be difficult for you to hear, but as my sister said, I have a duty to personally tell you the truth as one who witnessed the Commander's final moments. I'm prepared to accept the truth. You needn't mince your words. Oh yeah, by the way, thank you for summoning that dragon in Chapter 2, or that knight in Chapter 2. That was really cool of you. That knight might have been Zek, because that was his sword in that grave in Chapter 2. I couldn't see that because I looked at it, was slain once, and was told, fuck off, nerd, and then I couldn't look at it with anyone else. At the time, I spoke to Commander Zek and Legate Ajax, the commander of both armies, in order to find an amicable way to end it all. In the end, Commander Zecharias agreed to hand the capital on one condition, that Legate Ajax would personally assume the duty to protect it and save its people. As an aid to the Empire, I assured your brother that the condition would be upheld, as did my sister, upon which he withdrew his forces. After some deliberation, he decided to return to Redessa by way of the Black Holt. Why would he choose such a reckless route? It's true that the well-kept highway through the Veldlands would have been the safer route, but the king's soldiers were emaciated, and Commander Zek feared his men would resort to pillaging if they did not secure help fast enough. Therefore, he chose to return home through the Black Holt, a dense forest known for being void of human settlements. And so, the four-fallen soldiers of Redessa disappeared one by one into the gloomy darkness of the wood like tired ghosts. My concern for their safety never faded, so I pursued them as soon as I finished my business in the capital. The Black Holt was a true abyss. I could hardly see in front of me, and all I could hear were the beasts growling and birds cawing. With a torch in tow, I traveled for half a day until I finally suddenly spotted a red light in front of me. The wood was aflame, the sky painted red. Panicked, I ran forward to find myself surrounded by a sea of fire. With the roaring flames, I saw many soldiers, burning, writhing in pain. I quickly summoned a rainfall. I focused all my might on the heavens, praying that it would be enough to quell the flames. After half an hour, the fire began to die down, but that was the only most of the men had been immolated. I waded my way through the smoky miasma of pain and piles of blackened bodies, all alone, praying that I might find a survivor. Instead, I found your brother at the entrance to the path that led back to Redessa. For some reason, he was clad in heavy armor and leaning against a spear that had been thrust into the ground. Upon closer look, I realized he must have passed while standing. He must have tried to shield the rest of his men as they escaped the blaze. Even in his final moments, he never lost his dignity. Sadly, the flames had burnt up his body from within, so his body barely retained its shape. Pardon my disbelief, Lady Vanice, but how did you know it was Zek? Isn't there a possibility that it could have been someone else? It was the Commander's Earth that proved his identity to me. Earth is the ether the dead leave behind, what laymen call the soul. The Udagal have the power to hear the voices of Earth. Therefore, it's highly unlikely that Vanice was mistaken in her assessment. His Earth told me that something very important had been buried at his feet, and he wanted me to deliver it for him. In the dirt, I found a ring that I knew very well. The Vermil ring, which had once been mine. It's been so long now that I can hardly remember when it exactly was. But one day, I came across a wounded boy in the forest on Imperial land. He was so sweet, I was instantly seized by the urge to protect him, so I granted him an Udagal ring. It was that when I finally realized Commander Zecharias had been the boy I'd met all those years ago. Woe consumed my heart. If I'd only known sooner, things might have ended differently. Vanice, time is of the essence. Please, stay on topic. Of course. In any case, I could not bear to leave Zecharias there, so I carried his body to Janeth. As you may know, the Janeth ruins are also home to the grave of Sylvanister, the father of Melida. I just felt it would be the perfect resting place for Zecharias, despite knowing that I was overstepping my bounds. It would also serve to protect his remains while the Empire was moved to occupy his kingdom, so I buried him there by my own hand. So that was his grave in there. You must always want to save us from the... Right, she was! Woo! Been happy since my brother's imposter appeared at the capital. Because we were in the presence of others, and I knew the pain of the news would no doubt bring you. After we spoke, I returned to the sanctum and learned of the news regarding Aiden's Sphere and the petrification of the Earth Maiden. At that time, we had lost the Moon Maiden too, and knew that if her seal was broken, Aiden's Sphere would be free to roam the Earth once more. And so, I remained in the Genethian Labyrinth, keeping constant watch over Aiden's Sphere's movements. The Netherdrake finally broke free a Sennight ago, and my sister bade my return. That's when I heard that Zek had returned to the capital. Shocked, I instantly told my sister about what I experienced. Mr. Melida, so I thought that perhaps you might know something about the nature of the Chancellor. Yeah, he was an imposter, you know, haha, sus among us. Gravadale, right, okay. He has appeared in others' minds, assumed the forms as he pleases, well trained in the art of illusions. Furthermore, he's also the one stuck into the temple under the guise of the minister. Right, so he's a rat bastard. We need to kill him. Alright? We need to bring up our sword. And we need to stab him. And kill him. Yes, defeat him. Perfect. We need to inject the sussy imposter so that we can complete our tasks on Skeld. The war grows bloodier by the day. Right, everything is going wrong, but first things first, we need to kill the man. Woo! The Shadow King. Okay, the Shadow Lord. Alright, gotta kill the Shadow Lord. Got it. They just want to... Some people just want to bring back Satan, Zaid. Some people just want to bring back Satan. Alright? It's not complicated. They just want to do it. He fainted? Ah, right. Okay. Woo! We fainted because we just heard our brother fucking died. The full truth. What do you mean there's more? What more could there be? Jesus Christ! What else are you keeping from him? Oh, like, by the way, your dad was saying... Like, what else is there? What else could you have for him? Your father's safe? That's great! Alright, that's good to know. First time I met in the country was roughly 9 months ago in June of last year. At the time, Princess Marion was desperately trying to seal back Lestia from the vile Chancellor. She was forced to hide. Liberation's army, blah blah blah. I'm trying to end this here. There's been so much dialogue. Literally 2 hours worth. Ah! The Count. That's fine. Just glad to hear my father's safe and sound. Alright, there we go. Princess Liberation, 2 Circuit Maidens. Great, he's being the tactician for a separate group of army. See, your dad is hot, lady. Listen. If this woman wants to get it on with Accord's dad, let her. You know, he deserves it. Long green hair, her beauty and ferocity has earned quite the reputation. Philip! Still start whispering I was secretly in love with Princess Marion. Lady of Court, you needn't worry about your father, and we'd like to tell him you're in safe hands. Hooray! Let her know. Yeah, there we go. Woo! Waiting here for Zaid? Yeah, but it's been such a long time. I'm starting to get worried. True. How many hours has it been since he went to Lana's chambers? They couldn't really be talking. Yeah, they could be talking this whole time, okay? Hilda? What are you doing? God damn! It keeps going! Ah! There was one minor complication, but all's well now. Sorry if I worried you. Oh no, I'm just glad to see you're safe. Why so tense, Hilda? Something on your mind? Lord Zadrian, I didn't like you, Hilda. We fought together through thick and thin. You know that I'm always happy to lend you an ear. Well, it's about Siegfried. Okay, so you just told him the whole Siegfried story. Am I losing Hilda? God damn it, she was great! I mean, yes, everyone in this game is a character. It's great. But why am I losing Hilda? Ah! Meet again someday. Now smile, bid each other in farewell. Ah! No! Hilda's great! Why am I losing her? The court looked especially distressed. Let's go put her at ease. Putting me at ease because you just took Hilda! Ah! I feel terrible, you know. We left Verdessa in order to find your father, yet now we have to rush back to where it all began. I'm sure I can't begin to imagine how much worry and sorrow I've caused you to feel. Please accept my dearest apologies. I don't need to apologize for anything. We know my father is safe now. Can't ignore what's happening in Melida either. I intend to stay by your side until the very end, Zaid. I'll follow you to the ends of the earth if I must. Chin up, Lord Zadrian. Don't forget to take some time every now and then to appreciate the beautiful world we live in. That's why we're all fighting. This is why my father is helping to protect Circlet Maidens. To protect this beauty. I'm so proud of him. And I want him to be proud of me too. So I must do what I can. And right now, that means assisting you in saving the Star Maiden. No one knows what tomorrow may bring. So I'm only going to focus on what I can control. Looking up at the stars reminds me of being back in the capital. On our last night together, just before the final battle, Aethel said something to me. It sounded like she was joking, but it never left my heart. I suppose my weakness is that I can't stand being lonely. You better not leave me, or I just might turn to stone. I'm the reason Aethel turned to stone, period. I failed to protect her, despite being right there at her side. Now she's trapped in an eternal slumber, shrouded by nothing but silence and sorrow. It's all my fault. With all due respect, my lord, you're wrong. Aethel is happy, even now, because as she sleeps, she can dream of nothing but you. She might cry tears of sadness when she awakens and you aren't there waiting for her, though. So get those thoughts out of your mind. I know. No matter what happens, no matter what obstacles threaten to keep us apart, I cannot falter. Have to save Aethel. Nothing will stop me. Not until I see her smile once more. Finally! Jesus Christ! That was an hour and a half! Jesus! I'm not doing one more map. You gotta be out of your fucking mind.